Jubilee Medal. Please welcome Buccaneer Elwin Burke, better known as Burkey.
Like most of you here tonight, I swam in the mud hole. I hiked into the dam to fish. I know what a khaki dodger is. I saw the miners when they heard her in 1963. Stole a rhubarb out of Jim Hart's yard. Been chased by the company watchman. Played road hockey. Playing cars in the wintertime. And I know all the words of Sunny Dreams. I also have respect for the pick and shovel, for the hard rock miners of Buckens, who've toiled daily to provide for their loved ones in the housing place we all call home. Welcome here, everybody, tonight. It's glad to see you all here. Mr. Chairman, Mayor Durham, MP Scott Sims, invited guests, come from away. And do we have any Buccaneers here tonight? Okay. Well, it gives me great pleasure to be here tonight, speaking to this gathering of family and friends. In this community we all call home, as we come together to celebrate Come Home Year 2017 with the memories, with mining our memories. Very appropriate, concerning this is why we all came here tonight. This is what it's all about. A mine was started many years ago. Many individuals moved in from parts of the province, settled down, raised their family, and made this community we all call home. The rest, I say, is history. Just refer to the logo, as Mr. Sims said earlier, mining our memories, very, very appropriate. Well suited, as this was the livelihood that our fathers slaved hard, both underground and again, let's not forget the guys that worked on the surface. The mascot, hockey pick, hockey stick and the puck, well represented, as anyone who I lived here talked about hockey. As like watching here hockey years ago, I would always hear this famous phrase. The Buckles goal scored by number 10, Frank Walker, and I would always hear, you got one later on, the Buckles penalty to number 7, Huey Wadden, 2 minutes for a win. I remember watching hockey games, and I have to say, there's many men who would go to work, but would show up at the stadium to watch the Miners play against the Cornwall Royals, the Gander Flyers, and the Conception Bay Seabees. What a talent. So several months ago, I was at home watching Team Gushu in the Briar, and I received a phone call from Rob. And he was telling me he was calling on behalf of the Come Home Year Committee. And his big question was, he said, Burkey said, will you be guest speaker tonight? At first I said to Rob, yes, boy, sure will be, yeah, that's why you're calling me, right? Because in the past, myself and Rob had been known to play a few jokes on each other. And I remember Rob years ago from the curling club when I used to be involved with school curling. And all the guys would have girlfriends and whatever, so Rob came to me one day, and he said, Burkey, he said, how do I get a girlfriend? I said, boy, I said, you gotta ask a girl out, or ask her to a dance, or something like that, you know? I said, you make the first move. You know, he said, well, he said, you know what type of girl? I said, you make the decision. I said, no, she could be a Protestant, she could be a Catholic, doesn't make a difference, you make the first move. He said, boy, he said, that's awful tough. So I said, Rob, boy, I said, the best thing I can tell you, boy, he said, you're gonna go to the Sears catalog. So with that, I left him. So several weeks, I met Rob walking the sidewalk, and he's coming down, and he had this big box in his hand. And I said, what's going on, Rob? He said, Burkey, boy, that's something exciting. He said, you know something? He said, just up the post office and got the clothes. He said, the girls will be here sometime next week. I left Buckens in 1984 to pursue a career with the Refuge Penitentiary as a correctional officer. Having to move uptown, I've always kept the town close to my heart. Kept in touch with family and friends, updates on happening in the town, return for holidays, visit, special occasions, and the countless phone calls to family and friends living there. On numerous return visits to the town, myself and my wife Bev, always been welcome. Or one and all with open hearts. Always a hello and a conversation, how we've been doing, welcome home, making us feel, well, we're at home, which is a really good feeling. Our two children, Samantha and Tiffany, both love their visits to this community, and they both welcome into the Buckens fold by many. To this day, they have many friends here, they share many stories, they make plans for the future, and they always love to come home today. I was talking to someone you know today from Buckens, and I would have tried to guess who it was. So after moving out of Buckens, I've been asked this question many a times. Where are you from? Well, most people will say I'm from Clarenville, I'm from St. John's, I'm from somewhere else. I personally lived in St. John's, Mount Pearl, now in Clarenville. And over my career, and my first answer is what it was then is what it is today. I'm originally from Buckens, but living in Clarenville. And with the answer would come questions and comments. Do you know this person? My father worked there. My mother was from Buckens. I worked there a few months ago. It's what a place to visit, the great outdoors, the great spirit of hockey, or we came to visit Clarence the Caribou when the kids were small. You will always hear a positive remark about the town of Buckens and the great people we all know as Buccaneers. Never in my years did I ever hear any negative comments. Many communities around our province pride themselves with a community spirit that they are a great town to live in because of the great facilities, great infrastructures, schools, history, or growth in population. And I'm sure they are great communities, no doubt. I'll tell you a story of a friend of mine, the late Rich Pretty. Rich came here in Buckens with the Salvation Army. He started with the Salvation Army officer in the late 50s or early 60s. And he said his first night in the house down here in the church, he said him and and all his brothers and sisters were running around, turning off the lights, flushing the toilets, and watching the water go back. So much that the mother had to tell him to go to bed. And at that time, he said he was amazed. And a lot of us here tonight grew up with that, knowing what that was, a great comfort. I was born in 1957, and coming from Buckens, a well-established town then, with all the above and much more to offer. I can surely say that at today's standards, we were a cut above the rest, and had one great asset that money could not buy. They made us very special, and are still a part of this town today. I may have some of you guessing now, what is he really talking about? No, it's not the ore that come from underground, which was said to be priceless. Our facilities were always top-notch. Infrastructure at the time was fantastic. Our hockey team, the best on the island, and I can go on and on and on. In my opinion, what makes this little town so great, with beaming community pride, I feel that you here tonight that are with us are the people that have made Buckens. I look in front of me now, I see many people, as Durham said, from other towns, other provinces, and other countries. Welcome back home, and it's good to see you. Excuse me. I can say to you, who we call Buccaneers, that have gathered here tonight from other parts, and wherever, and the brave ones who never left and battled the storm are the reason what made Buckens it is today. Over the years, many towns in our province had held their own come home here celebrations and been successful at it. But look at Buckens, where it all began in 1986, as we all gathered back then, mix and mingle. What a great turnout showed up. And now we have been having these celebrations every 5 years, and each year it is growing in size and thanks. And look at the number of people that have come here in the last several weeks. It's out of this world. It's great to see it. The individuals who made the trek home to renew old friendships, to visit with their loved ones, to chat about the old days, and review great memories of the past. Myself and Ben moved into town here from home here on July the 12th, up by the old bowling alleys, which is now a Rick's Meat Shop. I remember the first night there, we pulled up, we set up camp. Several people were looking us around and what was going on. There was next thing we looked, we had 9 people in the trailer with us. And they have been going ever since. Even tonight, when we got ready, came down to the hall, we still had 4 visitors show up at 4:30 when we were trying to get through the door. Then we realized we're home, among friends, and if the first day was what anything was going to be like for this homeroom celebrations, we're up to a good start, sorry. What is true Buccaneer spirit? It's very simple in nature, to make one welcome and to care for your fellow man. The product community and its residents, just take a look at the Buccaneer community that lived in the Kitchener-Waterloo region of Ontario. Individuals who had moved from Buckens a few years ago. They have cared about their hometown, they missed their families and friends living there. A simple trip home for their summer holidays just did not fill that void. They missed their home. For some people, they were probably tossing the towel, simply forget where they come from, put their past behind them, and move on with their lives. But what did those folks do? They came together as a united community. They said, it's simple. So many Buccaneers living in a small area of Ontario, this is their workplace. And deep down in their hearts, they were missing their old hometown. To put it simple, we cannot get the Buckens as often as we like. Let's get the Buccan spirit to us. And for years they have held their Buckens reunion. They would hold a party, celebrate, mix and mingle with former townspeople, share their stories, and at the same time supporting many charities back home with their donations. Certainly made their parents proud. I remember in March 2017, watching Canadian Broad Curling Championships at Mall 1 in St. John's. Any individual, and watching individuals, that event certainly did not, I gotta retract there again, no? March 2017, with the Canadian Broad Curling Championships at Mall 1 in St. John's. Any individual watching that event certainly did not have any problems buying their red, white, and black hockey jerseys. The many photos on social media and the social gatherings during the 5th break. Yep, they were attending a national sporting event, very competitive in nature, and a lot of at stake for the winner. But they had, one and all, had won something else that needed to be done. So they took a few moments to be with their friends from home, to talk about the past, share their stories, and make plans for the future. They all loved the game of Buckens, but the Buccaneer in them, but Buccaneer inside of them, was first and foremost. And I remember several years ago, we had a late Rich Golfer, our old friend. And we decided one day they were going to have a Buckens party. So we booked the Legion in Mount Pearl. So my job was to book the music, keep some things going and whatever. So I made a accommodation to book the Legion. So he set me for a price or whatever. So early that night we went and set up the Legion. And around 10 o'clock the bartender come to me and he said, Elwin boy, he said, I don't know what's going on. He said 10 o'clock, he said, nobody showed up. I said, Skipper boy, he said, take your time. I said, you want your money? I said, we'll get you your money. He said, don't worry about that. I said, well, I got enough money in my pocket, I said, to pay for the hall. So I said, don't worry about that. I said, in a few minutes, you'll be happy. So that was good enough. So he went on, 11:45. He showed up. Of course, everybody knows what 11:45 is in Buckens. Everybody shows up. And he comes to me and he calls me aside and he said, Elwin, he said, to get up at the hall, he said, we're doing good on the barrel. So also at that party, we decided to play Sunny Dreams. So the guy playing music, we didn't have social media at that time or whatever. So Edward, Brett, and Jeannie were there. So they decided to get up and sing. So first when he got up and sung, the manager come to me and he got angry at me. He said, get those people down off the table. He said, they're going to start a racket here tonight. He said, he said, I'm getting ready to call the police. I said, listen, you call the police. There's more police here tonight in this building. I said, there's not control here in St. John's. And at that time, we had guys like Rich Tilley, Rich Golfer was there, Angus Head, Howard Carey, and I know several guys that married, were going with the guys that were in the police force at that time. But of course, we worked it well that night, no problem. Also visited town in March of this year, Sabre Plant Curling Bounceville, and with a response of its former residents who traveled from various parts just to take part in one weekend of curling. Excuse me. During this event, we had some friends of ours stay from Clarenville, and we were explaining how people would come home. This was a one-weekend event where you put the ice on Thursday, close her down on Sunday, and everybody go home happy as can be. Sure, it takes a lot of dedication work for many individuals, committee members, volunteers for 25 straight years. Shows community dedication and a great sense of pride. And I remember last come home here, Mr. Scott Sims was up here on the stage making a few comments. And at the time, he made reference that as a young boy, he spoke of getting up early in the mornings to prepare for a swim meet at the pool in Buckens. And his number one fear was diving in the water to begin a race and how cold the water really was in the pool. Well, sir, no disrespect to you tonight. This is why we are a special breed. Special breed of individuals who to this day are called Buccaneers. We know how to take on fear. We'll face any challenge, conquer what is put in front of us, and we'll always come out on top. Being a Buccaneer is a special right that money cannot buy. Not as simple as a screeching ceremony where one before a few tasks gets their certificate to move on. But to be a true Buccaneer, it has to be earned with blood, sweat, and tears. And the only way you learn that is very simple. Live in this community. Come from this community. Have a passion for your town and the individuals who live here. And care about making your home community a much better place. It was great to watch the activities this past 3 weeks to witness the closeness of most important thing we all have and treasure most, our family. Members can be seen endlessly around town all week, walking around, sharing their stories from the past, visits to the older neighborhoods, talking with friends, dropping into their old homestead, lunch together, and a trip to the local cemetery to spend time with their loved ones and sharing their memories. We look at a wall of memories here tonight that is underneath the red section here, and it's got some of the names posted of people who have passed on in recent come home years. I'd also like to mention the many individuals who came to town to work, later married, settled in, fitted into the Buckens fold, and we know several of them are here tonight. Started their family here, giving their time and effort to make the town a better place to live by being involved in this community and the many service groups. I've always said it takes an entire community to raise a child. And for my child in Buckens, I can say that individuals in this community have supported me from educators, hockey coaches, instructors, leaders, clergy members, next door neighbors, friends. I thank you one and all for your support and encouragement. Many leaders, volunteers, too many to name in this community, are to be commended for their countless hours of dedication, devotion for making Buckens what it is today. Through your efforts may seem small on their part, you sure made a difference in the lives of other people, and it has not gone unnoticed. Over the years to this day, Buccaneers have made strong additions to the armed force, thanks to the many men and women that have served our country that hail from our community. Just one group of individuals I'd like to mention that have contributed to Buckens that have gone unnoticed. A group of hard-working laborers, respected and cared for each other's well-being, whose work was rarely seen by most people, and probably went unnoticed. These men who slaved to make the town a better place for one and all to live. These were the men that always labored hard to recover the minerals, strengthening the community's economy to provide for their families. Yes, a lot of those guys were strong and burly and never knew what fear was. But in times of need, they've always came together, overcame their differences to ensure one thing, that they will all make it home at the end of their shift. They are the hard rock miners of Buckens. Right now, I'd like to take a special moment and ask the individual here that has worked underground to please stand. And the individuals that have worked in the mines as a miner to please stand. remain standing. Please remain standing. Also request that anybody that has worked with a circle in any form, whether it be on the surface, in the mill, wherever, please stand. Anybody that's worked with a circle, please stand. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. This is a prayer of our history. Thank you very much. I'd like to read a little poem that I have here. And I was on social media one night and I made a comment that the airplane in 1959 that crashed in Buckens is now in Clanville and is still being operated at Thorburn Lake. And I made a comment one night that was still being operated in Flowen, and I made it on social media. And Maureen Murray, who is Maureen Lane, told me that her dad had wrote a story about it. So she gave me the story, and I get on with that and several others. And there's one here that I think is pretty well I'd like to use tonight. It's called A Deckhead, and it's by Angus A. Lane from 1996. Silhouetted against a pale blue sky, they stood strong and tall. Deckheads of this mining town, familiar to one and all. Most men who rode its cages to mine the precious ore, who braved its darkest tunnels, are not with us anymore. Oriental McLean and Rothermere, forever from sight erased, but Lucky Strike is standing as a memorial to this place. For those who served so faithfully and the generations yet unborn, Lucky Strike will be a monument, and at its base we'll always mourn. The planning committee have toiled for years to put in a schedule of events, and guys, you have certainly done a great job. And I think we've all enjoyed it. It's volunteers like them. They give up their time, along with their dedicated hours, to offer a program for one and all. And I'd like to tell a little story here about a fellow that came from St. John's years ago as a school teacher, and he wanted to go in the woods. So he had everything to go in the woods. He had his so-called pack-sack done, but he didn't have a pair of boots. But unbeknownst to him, he was staying at the teacher's hostel, and of course, unbeknownst to him, a pair of boots comes upon the steps of the teacher's hostel. Of course, he looked at him and said, boy, there's some good boots, boy. He said, straps on, you hanging up in trees are pretty good and whatever. But he said, these boots were pretty unique. They had fire department written on them. So off Buddy goes in the woods with his hunting crew or whatever he's going to do, fishing, whatever, of course. So on the way out, he came across these gentlemen, and they had a little chat of where they were to, what they were up to, and he was wondering why this gentleman was staring him down and looking at his boots. And it was Durham Court, was the guy wearing the boots. And it was the late Mr. Pat Scott, who was the fire chief, was wondering why he's still with the boots on. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this is the individual we got running our town here tonight. Huh? So as we leave here at the end of celebration tonight, let us one and all keep the strong community spirit we have alive. Keep up the posting on social media. Do not let that Buccaneer spirit in you die. Yes, the old wooden sidewalks have been torn up. Our former schools disbanded, and the old town may not look the same, as they say in the song. We are Buccaneers. We are not leaving. We're staying right here. And from what I've witnessed over the past 3 weeks, from being here in this community, it's not going to change anytime soon. Another thing I'd like to add is that I done this thing one night on social media about my friend in Claremont where he lost a chainsaw. So I went up and I done a news story for him. And of course, since then I've been doing several bits of things that have happened. So I'd like to do one for the Come Home Here celebrations. 6 o'clock in the evening, you're home watching the NTV news. Here how it goes. It was a long lineup of cars and trucks traveling down Route 371 as many Buccaneers made their way to the former community town of Buckets to partake in the 2017 Come Home Year celebrations. As in the past, upon arriving in the community, hundreds of people could be seen shaking hands and hugging their close friends and reminiscing about their past, sharing a smile or a story from their childhood. The festivities lasted approximately 3 weeks, and town folks mixed and mingled, danced until the hours of the night. And upon the festivities come to a close, it's time to say goodbye and last goodbye. And he form a handshake, and the former residents that make the return home with their hearts filled with great memories. Who was Tilly reporting from Buckins. And anyways, gentlemen, that's all you have here tonight. Thank you all for having me. In closing, just what you have done over the years of Buccaneers, don't do it any different. Keep it up. See you all guys in 2022. God bless you all.